Well, I think that conventional notions of privacy are a thing of the past. I mean, there is no way to go back to whatever idea we had until not so long ago about the privacy of our lives. You know, living in anonymity or having full control over how much information we share about ourselves. Even if we don't participate in social media, there's plenty of information about us on the internet. I mean, we live sort of digital footprints all the time. The question is who interested in sort of gathering the data, following that data that we leave behind deliberately or not to actually know things about us, about who we vote, what stuff we purchase, where we live, about our income, you know, all sorts of other things. So I think that, I mean, I think that basically this old notion of privacy doesn't work anymore in the digital era. The question is that good or bad? And you can think that basically the state may have information about us for good reasons, right? For example, for the kinds of services that we demand, for tax purposes, for welfare services. There are kind of reasons why people may think that if the state has information about us, it might not be a bad thing. The same way that some consumers pragmatically believe that it's okay for markets to know our shopping habits, for example, because it facilitates, it saves us time and all kinds of, I mean, there's a sort of a way that people trade the downside of losing privacy in exchange for something else. Just, you know, with the credit card. With the credit card, people use it because it facilitates, it has all kinds of, you know, benefits in people's minds, even though they may know or do know that they're giving up certain privacy every time they swipe a card, right? So I think that's sort of what I think that is interesting, how people live in a situation in which privacy is not what it used to mean, whether they feel comfortable with that or not. We might feel uncomfortable when somebody takes a picture of us and we didn't agree to be part of that, and we show up in places that we don't want to be, or the way that we find it eerie that we sort of Google ourselves and we find all kinds of information we didn't know that was sort of publicly available. But that's something that we need to educate ourselves. Basically, that's the new reality. So the question of cutting off completely, you know, ourselves from society and going back to a question of privacy as a private fortress that would be built around ourselves seem, you know, untenable, impossible in the world that we're living in, even if we unplug ourselves completely from the grid. When we tell people by doing that you're leaving footprints about what you do, people might find it eerie. It not necessarily might change their behaviors though. When they are reminded how easily it is to basically leave traces behind you that anyone can access. So the question is what people typically do when they are, you know, confronted with the fact that, you know, you are, you know, one of the main perpetrators of your loss of privacy. What do you do about that? Or, you know, what are you willing to make changes because of that? That's an interesting question. And it's not clear that people will say, I want to claim my privacy back, and therefore I will cut off all kinds of stuff that I do, from texting with my friends to posting things on social media, from buying houses or paying taxes that is all public records. So my sense is that even if people are aware about the trade-offs, people will necessarily sort of take very different, you know, make different choices. They might take some precautions, but not necessarily they will change completely their habits just because of being presented with the kind of information other people, from states to markets to neighbors to acquaintances, actually have about yourself.